Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Grand Prestige League here today. We are here for the Sprint World Tour, our second division here for round 3 at Spa-Francorchamps here in SWT, Belgium. It's going to be an interesting race here today. We saw how much chaos came from last week's race. There's some new drivers on the grid here today. I'm your commentator and your host, Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and I'll be joined by Illusion here momentarily. He'll be about a few minutes, give or take, but he will be here. So you'll have myself and Illusion in the comms box today. So let's just go ahead and take a look at some of these new drivers. As part of the Castro Go Fast team, we have C. Rivelin. I believe he is a new driver, unless he made his debut last week. Or, sorry, last SWT race in Croatia. B23, you actually saw him the week prior racing for Porsche Motorsports in WEC, or the World Elite Championship. Had an interesting race there, didn't quite go to plan. Had a quick drive for a Porsche, and now he's back in his XL Motorsports AMR machine. So good to see him back in his regular machinery. Your boy Grand is here. Nemesis, I believe, is also a new driver. And then we have Jedi. So we almost have a full grid here today. I also know that there was a speculation that a standout driver from Formula GT, who raced in the second half of the season with Deadeye Racing, Venomous Venom, will be joining us today, racing with the XO AMR squad. He recently signed with the team. Originally, he had a deal with Karma for Formula GT, but after some negotiations, he ended up with XO AMR. And oh, it looks like your boy Grand is not having a grand time out there. He is currently sliding into a wall. Unfortunate stuff there from the driver, as we just go ahead and get some other stuff set up. So we have Nuko, who is going to be one of our stewards here today. Nuko currently now P2 in the WEC Championship after a massive recovery drive in Belgium to get within a second away from Illusion there at the end. So I mean, it was a good recovery drive, but he got so close yet so far away. But don't worry, there's still quite a few races for him to go ahead and take part in and to try to claw back that championship lead. And I believe there is the main man himself. How are you doing, Illusion? I believe he is still loading in. But we do have Illusion here in the commentary box now. Just gonna try to get some other stuff up and running while we wait.
Okay.
There he is. How you doing, mate?
Are we live?
Yes, we are live.
Alright. Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good myself. It's always a good day whenever we're at Belgium. Hopefully minus the red flags, of course. Because I know we had quite a few of those last week.
Oh yeah, that was stressful. Let's hope for a bit less stressful race start this time. But you never know. That turn 1 is really tight and slow, so be aware. It might be a red flag or two here.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we saw a good amount last week. La Source is such a tricky hairpin to kind of navigate. It goes from being pretty wide to pretty narrow in a pretty short amount of time, especially with lap 1, turn 1. It's kind of similar to that of Monza, where it can be really deadly at times, but hopefully no red flags here today.
Yeah, and as the wind, how it's now, you have tailwind going into the corner, so you have to brake really, really early, and then on exit you will have headwind. But that point of when the wind shifts from tailwind to headwind is a bit difficult to find, so it's really easy to lose the car there, or outbrake yourself going into the corner.
Indeed, yeah. I know you had a pretty solid race there last week. You also took the lead of the Drivers' Championship at that same time, and so I know you're definitely feeling great about that. I do want to go ahead and say hello to the people currently in chat. Nagato and Flarengaces. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, are there any drivers today that you think we should really keep an eye on here for today's race?
I think there's the usual suspects. I think the Exo cars is going to be fast. I think CBD is probably a huge favorite for this track. I've done some practice with them earlier, last night. And CBD and Brando seems fast, so I'm curious to see if the Case and guys can match that pace, especially considering they were really good at Dragon. And then you also have Dokidono. I think those 5 are probably my top 5, I would say. And maybe Atora or Name Your Boy Grant can do something interesting as well. It would be fun to see if Jay Scholze can have a good race. He seemed to have a good pace, but been a bit unlucky last couple of races, so he might be one to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, we know High Caliber across both divisions has had a kind of rocky kind of start to the season. I know in WEC they have had the start that no team really wants, but unfortunately it does have to befall one team. Are there any new drivers on the grid that our fans at home should know about? I know, actually, I said this was a new driver, but I forgot Artura actually changed his name, so to Nemesis, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. I have it on, so it shows PSN, but yeah, he changed his GT nickname. We do have Golf Boy. He has raced before, but he hasn't raced this season. He has raced previous seasons in SWT, and we got Killswitch back, which missed the last race, and we got Chapakal, or what does it say on your screen? Well, mine says Chapakal,
is Revillion, or C. Revillion?
Revillion, yeah. He had a really good race last time, so curious to see what he can do, but it seems like it's mostly the same drivers joining in today.
Now, I know there was some talks about Venomous Venom, driver who raced for Deadeye in Formula GT as a substitute. He recently got announced as a driver for EXO, so I heard that he was actually possibly going to be in today's race.
Yeah, he was supposed to step in for CBD as he wouldn't be able to make it, but no, he's here, so something must have changed in the plans. So if he is out or Brando is out, it will be Venom that steps in for EXO, as they would always try to have 2 drivers on the grid and pick up points for the constructors.
Indeed, I know you guys are in pretty good standings for both SWT and WEC, so I know you guys are gonna look forward to continuing that trend. But one of the interesting topics that came from last week was Brando, aka B23, racing for Porsche last week. Obviously, he didn't quite get the results he was probably looking for, but I mean, what kind of orchestrated that move? Because that was a really interesting switch.
Yeah, I think it's been in the cards for a time that Brando get his experience in WC. As I think he has the pace, so if there's any opportunities, he should grab it and race in WC. But one thing is having the pace, and another thing is executing the race in a really competitive grid. But that's just part of the learning curve, and I'm not sure where he ended up in the race, but from my perspective, it seems like he wasn't entirely happy with the race, but let's see, maybe for next time he can perform a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, Belgium it's a tricky track. It's the longest track we're going to have on the calendar here for Season 6 across both groups. For those of you who may be unfamiliar, both groups do run on these same tracks, just 1 week apart. And I think, yeah, it was the longest race that we have on the calendar for, I think, for this entire season. I could be wrong. Maybe there's a longer track, but I think Spa by far is the longest track that we have for this current season.
Yeah, we do also have Tokyo Express, but this might be just a bit longer. The thing about Spa is that the wind is always so powerful and it keeps changing. So setup-wise, it's a bit of a gamble. As you see with this wind, you can get away with relatively low downforce, but if the wind changes westwards, that will change everything, and that will make the high downforce setups way better than the low downforce. So that's something to keep an eye on. Probably the wind will keep spinning around like a compass, and that will be extremely difficult to going into some of the hard braking zones in turn 1 and the last chicane and the braking zone after the Camel Straight. If the wind changed direction there, it would greatly change the braking zones as well.
Indeed, yeah, and we know that one thing that kind of does set Gran Turismo apart from some racing sims is the addition of the wind, and these cars are so aerodynamic, and the lightest little breeze is enough to kind of change the whole handling characteristics of the car. I mean, we saw it last week as well, where the wind was catching some drivers out. That was probably part of the cause of the red flags. I mean, it just happens. Gran Turismo, I mean, there's a lot of things that people criticize this game for, but I will say that the wind is a pretty interesting thing. It does add a bit of extra complexity to the strategies, like you said. It even has, like you were talking about, it forces you to even change your setup quite a bit. Because Spa, typically you kind of want a low downforce setup. Slightly, like, not like a full Monza setup. You do need some downforce, but a little bit less downforce than, or a little bit more downforce than Monza, I should say, as qualifying is actually about to get started.
Yeah. So not many laps they can do during qualifying, probably 4 or 5. So it's crucial to get a good lap, and if the wind changes during the qualifying, that makes it even harder to. So let's say the wind is really off during the first part of qualifying and it changes during the qualifying, it will be difficult to improve your lap time. And yeah, I think for Spa it's probably like a mid downforce track. It's long straights, but some of the corners has really fast exits, so you need to have that downforce to keep the speed going out of the corner compared to there's like slow corners, exits that will make a low downforce much more suited.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yeah, because typically when you kind of think of like the kind of balance scale that you kind of think of when it comes to like just generic setups, you typically have like your full high speed, your mid speed, your balanced, and then your mid cornering, and then your high cornering. Typically high cornering is really only used for like super duper tight tracks. Like you could probably use it for, even though granted I will say it's not a part of the season, but you could use it for tracks like Eger, Norwand, maybe Barcelona. That would be an iffy one. Probably, I mean, a lot of the tracks that we have here don't really warrant like a super high downforce setup, because Monaco doesn't exist in Gran Turismo, and a bunch of the other tracks you would typically run like max downforce setups aren't really a part of the game or not on the calendar for the season. But yeah, actually I think Gran Turismo with its BOP settings, I'll double check to confirm real quick. I think Gran Turismo actually lists this as like a mid-speed, so let me double check that. At least when it comes to BOP. Now, granted, I know BOP isn't a factor when it comes to this league. We have drivers run their own setups, so they can tune the cars exactly to their liking, which honestly I think it just shows another level of game knowledge and just game sense to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work with these specific cars, because these cars, they can be really, really tricky to navigate. And just to confirm, actually this game lists as a high-speed track, so although granted no, GT7 does typically only have 3 BOP settings. You have high speed, low speed, and mid.
Yeah, so that means that they consider it a high downforce track or a low downforce track?
Low downforce.
Okay. Interesting, because I think mainly last couple of seasons we had done low to mid downforce, but for the specific race we had last week, it seems like high downforce was better. So that was a bit of a surprise. Especially keeping in mind Monza and Dragon was fairly similar as last year. So that probably tells you how much the wind affects the car, these kind of cars, when it comes to setups.
Yeah, I think another big thing too is that the BLP settings don't take wind into account when it comes to the settings.
No.
I mean, especially because like when you think of like BOP and like most series that run BOP, it's usually like the LMP ones, the GR1s, the GR2s, the GR3s, usually like the sports cars to like endurance prototypes. Those are typically what you see when you think of balance and performance. Cars that are still affected by the wind, but not to the same degree as the SF23s that we are using here for GPL. So, I mean, I think without the wind, if the wind was at a flat 0, then you probably could get away with a low downforce setup on this track, or maybe like a mid speed, where you're not like full Monza spec, but you know you're a little bit more than a 50-50 split. But yeah, like you said, wind is really going to play into how the drivers are going to set up their cars for today's race.
Yeah, it also makes it difficult to compare. Let's say you want to compare your times during practice with others. It's really difficult to compare or to say if that's a good lap or a bad lap. It just depends on the wind. As if the wind is optimal, it's probably about 2 seconds faster than the worst wind. Wind we have right now, that will be really good. Also really good for racing, as the wind direction will also determine how bad the derriere will be for the car behind. Let's say you have the west pointing wind. It will be extremely difficult to follow in the fast corners, but if you have optimal wind, like let's say north heading or even east, northeast is even better. We'll have so much headwind going in that the derriere isn't that really noticeable, and we can see some really good racing. So Spa can be an extremely good racing track for not for the drivers but for the spectators as well. But if the wind is let's say it changes, it can be a bit of a dull race, because it's almost impossible to overtake unless you have a tire advantage or overtaking advantage.
Yeah, we saw overtake really play a factor in the last race, coming into just those last closing moments, especially between yourself and Nuko in the last few laps of the Grand Prix. But yeah, I mean, I ran through a calculation real quick. So now it's actually 17 feet per second. So 16.9 feet per second, as it was a few seconds ago, does roughly translate to about 11 miles an hour for wind. Which, I mean, if you're walking, it's pretty nice, you know, it feels good, you know, especially if you're in a hotter part of the world, like if you're south of the equator or just right above it. But when you're driving these super aerodynamic cars, it's suboptimal, to say the least. And we're already about halfway done with qualifying here. Your top 3 times, as predicted by Illusion himself so far, the top 2 are the Extra Repeat A cars. Followed by Chemazure, currently in P3, which is a pretty good time for the American driver. We'll go on board. We'll see who has not set a time yet. We'll take a look at Gothboy. I think he has yet to set an official time. So we'll go on board with the Red Bull Adidas driver. Although, granted, it's doing that unfortunate visual glitch again where it is showing as a default Honda Super Formula. That is only a bug. It tends to happen sometimes. And since a more recent update, I think it was the last update when they added the F3500 that this glitch started happening, because it's a glitch I haven't really seen before. It does happen. Luckily, it is only a cosmetic glitch, so it doesn't affect anything with the driver in any form. But yeah, Gothboy right now is doing pretty solid here. I mean, he's really fighting the wind in that car. the wind direction is really not going to be his friend, especially when he gets to Sector 3, because he's going to have a really nasty tailwind, especially rounding this next corner here.
Yeah, I'll easily drop the rear of the car, as you will understeer a lot going into it, and then on the exit you'll try to rotate the car and you get snap oversteer. That track, that corner has sent a lot of drivers into the wall during this. So that's a notorious corner if the wind is like it is right now. I see a lot of people struggling to set a what can I say, a respective time compared to what they can do. Let's see, Grey Jedi. I saw he struggled on his last lap. He's trying again now. I think this is going to be his final attempt. And if he's a bit unlucky, get some dirty air from Kamazura as he's really close. But for him, it's going to be crucial to be at least in the top 3 or top 4 to have a decent shot for this race.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, I think that bus stop chicane there right before the start-finish straight going into La Source, I think that's where that tailwind is really going to be the most aggressive, because you have such a rapid change of direction and you're pretty much going right against that wind. That wind is T-boning your car essentially, and it can really throw you off, because that's probably a place where a lot of drivers can really make or break their lap times, is how good they take that chicane. Because if you take it too tight, you run off track and you risk a penalty, as we see Jedi getting blown way off track there. I think he had to dodge the Castrol of Rivelin. Yep, that's a half-second penalty, so that lap's going to be done. And I think that's actually qualifying done too, because we're down to like the last about 35 seconds.
Yeah, he might not be able to set in another lap actually. So I think he just needs to do whatever he can do for this lap. It's of course it's a huge disappointment for Jedi, as we have 20 seconds. No, he won't be able to. He might be. It's a bit strange with that countdown for the qualifying, but it seems like he won't be able to set another lap, and that's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, because we know Jedi's got some really good pace.
He does, and he'll probably make up a lot of time. A lot of positions during the race, but of course his fight is with the two XO cars. But right now he a bit of a comeback to be up there with them.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen comeback drives before. I mean, Nuko had a pretty solid comeback drive last week here in WEC. So, I mean, this is a track that's really good for racing. There's a lot of good overtaking opportunities. The Camel Straight is one that you talked about earlier. Even if you're really aggressive and you're really confident and also really ballsy, you can try to make an overtake into a Rouge. I've seen it before and it's really, really crazy. So it's very possible that the comeback drive of the century might happen. Right now we're on board with B23. Your boy Grant does set a new time. Schulte improves his time and his position.
We got a Tura. He's finishing his lap now. We can possibly... we got Brando first though. Doesn't seem like he might be able to improve his lap time. Oh, he does.
He does, but not his position.
Second.
That was a rapid time there from the American driver. Now we'll see what the Dutch driver can do. And the Honda Alpine, let's see where it goes. It's an improved time, but not an improved position. Artura remains in P3, but that's still a really good starting position here in Spa.
Oh yeah, I think he's happy with that, and I think the top, especially the top two, is sub 50 laps. 50 laps, that's really good. That's a really good lap, and yeah, a bit surprised by Artura. I've seen he has had pace before, but he's just been lacking a bit this season in SWT. So good for him to grab a P3 in qualifying, and hopefully he can have a good race.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, we know Artura has pace, but it just seems to come as like a flash in the pan sometimes. We know he's got pace, but he he just has, in recent times, he just hasn't really shown that same level of pace on a consistent basis. We know he's quick, but I mean, you can't win a season and an entire championship in only one race. You gotta be consistent. Consistency is what wins championships. And I mean, we saw that from over in Formula GT. We saw that with the XL High Caliber team, where they were just consistently in those top few positions, and ultimately it got them a double of drivers and constructors champions over there. So consistency is really, really important. Even if you take it down from like a smaller scale, even if you take it from a championship level to a race level, consistent lap times is what gets you race victories. As we'll go ahead and run you through the qualifying grid once again. You have CBD and B23, a front row lockout for XL Rapide, and then followed by Nemesis, AK Artura, and then Ducadono in the second row, then Schultze and your boy Grand, Killswitch and Kamajur, and then we have Jedi, Rivulet, and Gothboy rounding out our grid. Like you said, there's really going to be some positions being moved up and down the track. Some drivers, especially with how brutal that wind was, they were really struggling to set a fast lap here.
Oh yeah, you mean for Jedi, or?
Well, just for the entirety of the grid, because there are some drivers that were 4 seconds off the pace entirely, and I just do not think that's representative of how quick some of these drivers can be.
Yeah, for sure. I think the qualifying is very difficult at Spa. You always have. I think Spa is a good track for many people, but it just seems like when you enter the qualifying and during the race, it's just something that doesn't click. Maybe it's the wind makes it extremely difficult to set a representative lap. As you see, there's quite a big gap between P1 and P11, but I think up until P10 we have a really close grid. We can see if Gothboy can do better in the race.
Yeah, I mean,
any predictions of what kind of strategy they will do, or who's your favorites?
I mean, obviously, we've seen throughout the entirety of the season that the XO drivers, they've been really strong. I mean, they've been really dominant so far throughout SWT. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to kind of bet against CBD or B23, whichever driver. But I think in terms of strategy, I'm betting it's probably going to be a one-stop, I would imagine. I would imagine maybe like a soft to medium or medium to soft strategy, or maybe even double mediums. Maybe somebody can go on a no-stop with a hard tire, but I think that's probably, I'd probably consider that the wild card strategy out of the bunch. I think it is going to be a one-stop, ideally probably medium to medium or medium to soft. That's my prediction.
That's mine too, but you're onto something that might be able to do a serious stop here on mediums, but it will be difficult, and will be really slow in the end. So I'm predicting a medium to soft or a soft to medium. That's my prediction as well.
We actually saw it
telling this guy he has to leave. Chip for Power has been driving in GT Sport with me before, but unfortunately we cannot have too many people in the lobby for the race. Okay, so I'll throw the red flag and you'll take it away for lap 1.
Alright, sounds like a plan. But yeah, I think I don't think fuel is going to be really a big issue for today's race. We have about half the amount of laps that we had last week, a little bit less, I think, than less than exactly half, or a little bit more than exactly half, but regardless, we still have 23 laps to run this track. It's a long track, just barely over 7 kilometers. And I mean, it's the biggest track we have on the calendar, but also wind is going to play a really big factor. I know Tokyo Expressway is also probably the second longest track we have on the calendar, but wind is not nearly as aggressive there as it is here. Because we are in the mountains here, in the Ardennes Forest over in Stade-Lot, Belgium. So, I mean, we're kind of out in the wilderness, essentially. I know this is a really famous track, It's used in most forms of motorsport. Formula 1, Formula 2, World Endurance. Obviously, the 24 Hours of Spa is a massive endurance race here as well. As we see drivers just readying up after Whiteout, who is our head steward of the day, goes ahead and just explains the rules. No overtake until lap 2, which is going to be really tricky on this track. Overtake management played a lot of overtake really played a lot into just the race from last week, and I'm expecting it's going to be the same here this week. I know I saw a lot of questions asking about Hop House, the other KZN driver. Unfortunately, he just wasn't around for today. I don't know, Illusion, if you've heard more than I have on the absence of Hop House, but he is certainly missed.
Yeah, it says he's accepted for the attendance sheet, but I saw that Jedi was asking for any subs available, probably referring to Hop House. But unfortunately, he's not here, so Jedi will be on him by himself. So looking good for EXO. Picking up points today will be difficult to catch up for Kaysen.
I think I might have accidentally said Whiteout is host. I meant to say Nuko or Stewart. I mean, I think I accidentally said Whiteout.
I'm stewarding. I'm controlling the red flag.
All right, and it's 3, 2, 1, and it's lights out, and away we go. It is a great start there from CBD, a not so great start there for B23. He's gonna close off the position. He's going to close the door, forcing his teammate to kind of go wide. His teammate goes very wide, and there's a lot of contact. That's certainly chaos here in turn 1, just like we had last week. And what is the verdict on that?
That's 2 cars with damage and then 1 spin. So I'm going to call a red flag for that one.
All right.
Bit of messy turn 1 there. So I'm going to call a red flag. Initially it seemed okay, but one guy getting spin and one having damage. I think that calls for a red flag.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, hopefully it's only 1 red flag, as opposed to the 2 red flags we had last time out. But yeah, I mean, turn 1 here is really, really dangerous. It's almost as bad as turn 1 Monza. Yep, actually, joke's on you, Whiteout, you're subbing in for Hop House, so get in here, you got about like 3 minutes. I'm kidding. Glad you're here though, glad you're enjoying the stream. Yeah, I was getting ready to commentate at about 4 in the morning. Due to another league I commentate for, so yeah, my brain isn't fully firing on all cylinders yet. I mean, I have a monster here, hopefully trying to wake myself up, but not sponsored, by the way, chat. Hopefully we'll get a sponsor at some point in the near future.
Is it the infamous white monster that everyone loves?
Nah, it's just a regular green one.
Okay. I don't really see the white monster.
I don't either, honestly. Like, I mean, I know it's like the zero sugar flavor, but Monster has better zero sugar flavors out there. Let's just be honest. I mean, I will forever be salty that they got rid of the Australian lemonade, because that was the best flavor that the Monster has ever created.
There's nothing. Sorry, my knowledge in energy drinks is not the best. I'll stick to coffee.
That is honestly for the best. I am an energy drink connoisseur, especially, you know, recently being a college student, you have to, you got to go through some late night shenanigans trying to get assignments done before the dreaded 11:59 p.m.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Especially going through. I went through 2 degrees, got a master's, and that was pain sometimes. So I got very well acquainted to what energy drinks are good and what energy drinks are bad. And I will throw my energy drink hot take out there. I know another one that's been really popular aside from White Monster, at least here in the States. I don't know about across the globe, but Celsius has been a really popular one. Celsius is so ridiculously mid. I will die on that hill that Celsius is mid.
Never heard about it.
Good. You don't need to. It's not good.
Okay. For me, I mean, like Red Bulls has been, of course, since the dawn of energy drinks, but we have one in Norway called Battery or one called Burn. Those are fairly okay, which I probably drank when I was younger. But right now I'm sticking to coffee, and that started when I was in the military, and we had like these long sessions where we had to like listen to people talk about safety and whatever. And that's when I started drinking coffee because it was so goddamn tired. I mean, like boring to listen to. Like doing it like 10 hours straight almost. That's where I started drinking coffee.
I also see in chat that Balls is super good, hard to find. Actually, there's a store not too far from me that sells a bunch of them. I know what drink he's talking about. So there's 2 stores here that sells them. One is a retro game store called Cybertron. It's pretty close to my apartment. Yeah, they have it there, and then there's a soda shop, like specifically a soda shop, a little ways from here. It's about 15-ish minutes of a drive. It's called Rocket Fizz, and they have like every soda like under the sun. It feels like, at least based on what's made here in the States. Even some foreign drinks, like they have the Japanese Ramune soda. They got some other really cool stuff, but they have like 6 or 7 flavors of Balls. I know the name sounds sus, but you see the spelling in chat, B-A-W-L-S. Me and my classmates in college, we made so many jokes about that drink, but I agree, it is actually really good. Here in the States, we have quite a few different energy drinks. Obviously, we have the Red Bull, we have the Monster, Rockstar is another popular one here. Ghost is becoming really popular. It's a newer-ish energy drink. It kind of rose up when Bang kind of fell off, which Bang is also horrendously mid. If you see a Bang, unless you're morbidly curious, don't try it. It's not good at all. Honestly, I liked like one flavor of Bang out of like the 700. Yeah, and then there's also my personal favorite is Nos. Nos is like really good. I like it. It's citrusy. It doesn't taste like medicine like some other energy drinks tend to do. Especially if you get like the I forget what they actually call that. I think they call it like Sonic Apple or something like that, but it's their green apple flavor. It's really, really good. Also, when I was on vacation, so during the period of the Croatian races, we went to the soda shop, me and my girlfriend, and it's same kind of concept as Rocket Fizz. They have like 400 some sodas that you can choose from, but with the addition of they'll turn it into a float. If you don't know what an ice cream float is, it's really good. So it's really easy too. It's basically just ice cream, and you pour soda or insert some kind of carbonated beverage into it, and boom, it becomes a entirely new treat. Pretty good. Had a Red Bull float while I was there, and yeah, remind me to send pictures in Discord later.
You mix ice cream with energy drinks?
I mean, it's one of the most American things you could do, aside from putting like Bud Light into it. I'm kidding. I have no idea how good that even tastes. I don't drink.
That sounds crazy.
I don't, even though I'm legal to drink here, because it's you got to be 21 or older to drink in the States. I know other places it's like 18, 13, and I know different countries have different rules. But I don't drink. But I could imagine that putting like regular beer with ice cream could either come out really good or really terrible.
Really terrible is my guess. Speaking of energy drinks, what happened to that Rockstar energy drink? I never see that before. Longer. I saw that before a lot, but I never see that Rockstar energy drink. Is it still around, or is it connected to the Rockstar company, or what's the deal with Rockstar?
So the Rockstar game company and the Rockstar energy drink company, they're completely separate. Actually, F1 Academy driver Leah Block, daughter of Ken Block, absolute legend to motorsports. She's actually sponsored by Rockstar, so she has Rockstar on her helmet for F1 Academy. And I know they had a really big presence in Formula Drift with Frederick Albasco when he was doing that the Supra, but they still exist. But we can come back to the energy drink discussion later. because we have a race to get going with. The cars are all lined up again. We're about to see those 5 red lights come on. In Stavelot, Belgium. 3, 2, 1. And it's lights out, away we go. We're back at it again here in Belgium. Another great start there from CBD, leading the pack to turn number 1. We see some cars going a bit wide there, the HoloLive racing machines. Oh my God, we all survived.
That's much better race start. A bit of contact, but that's almost impossible to not have on Spa-Francorchamps. We see Brando is really close to CBD. Can he make a stick on the Camel Straight?
We'll see. We'll go on board now with the American driver. He gets past his teammate. He's got the move, he's got the speed, and he's got the position. B23 up into P1 at the start of the race. And that was really clean racing from the American. Absolutely perfection right there.
We got one driver with damage, but doesn't seem to have affected him too much. It's Chapacal, the Frenchman, as he goes off the track.
Arturo goes off track there a little bit too, getting a little too close to the wall, giving just a gentle little smooch. Oh, that looked like a lot of big contact there between your boy Grand and Nemesis, forcing him way off track. No damage on either car, it looks like, but yeah, that really cost Arturo some positions there. As we see a good amount of battling here, especially between the two teammates of B23 and CBD. I mean, they're fighting right now. I mean, they're keeping it clean. The one rule that I was always told in racing, even in my extremely short league racing stint, was rule number 1: do not collide with your teammate. And I mean, we might see that here as we see a potential move coming into the bus stop chicane. Oh, was he thinking about trying to hang it around the outside? He does not. He decides against it. But so far, a much better race start this time than we had in WEC, where we had 2 red flags. We got away with only 1 this time.
And we've got Name Your Boy Gran on soft, so he's closing in on the EXO drivers. He's looking to get ahead while he's on the soft, and then his penalties will make it difficult as they start to spread out a bit. We see Torres on the mediums. There's a few more on soft than I thought it was going to be. Got Dakidono and Name Your Boy Gran on soft. We got Brando, BD, and Atora on mediums, and Kemizer, Chapakal, and Grey Jedi all on softs. Killswitch on softs, Golf Boy on mediums, and Schulze all the way back in P11 now on mediums. So this is about 50-50 split between mediums and soft between the drivers. So most likely they will change that approach for the final stint. As we see Golf Boy spins out there, and Killswitch are also struggling out. So Golf Boy had a tailboard crash, so he's dropped back to P11.
Unfortunate there for the Project Zero driver, and also delivery came back, so just a weird little visual glitch there where it showed him as the default Honda, but he is back in his proper racing colors. But ooh,
Maybe Boy Cran with a huge spin there. Not sure how. Okay, guys, not sure how he initially didn't get damaged there. He was spinning around at least 2 times and then hit the fence on that corner we spoke about in qualifying. As he was getting really close to the EXO drivers, so the soft really working for the first stint, it seems, as we have Dakidano really close now, setting the fastest lap. Let's see if he can closing on the EXO drivers. Then we got Golf Boy leaving the lobby. Which is understandable, but a bit of a shame as their race has just started.
Yeah, unfortunate there for the Belgian driver. This was his home track as well, so really unfortunate that he would go out on home turf and just have an unfortunate incident getting taken out in the opening stages of the race. It's only lap 3 now of this race. The 2 teammates up front still battling it out, keeping it clean though, trying to avoid contact at any cost. So the one big difference between WEC or World Elite Championship versus the Sprint World Tour, which is what you guys are currently watching. The damage is different. So we have heavy damage for WEC and then light damage here. So if you're unsure about the difference between the two. Oh, there's a spin in the back there for Rivelin. The French driver driving for Castrol is in the wall. And if you see, actually this is a good time to talk about it. So if you see on the bottom left side of your screen, right near the top RS, you see that flashing little bar. That is showing he has front aero damage. Now in heavy damage lobbies, you would not be able to get this repaired, or you'd have to go to the pits to get it repaired, which takes extra time out of your pit stop. You could lose front aero downforce, so it makes your car a little bit harder to turn. However, now if you notice that that bar has stopped flashing, on light damage, it fixes itself. So light damage is pretty good for for this kind of intermediate level category where, you know, you're still kind of learning the ropes a bit of league racing and overall just racing in Gran Turismo in general. So having that little bit of extra leniency kind of encourages drivers to kind of learn to, you know, not use the car in front of you as your braking point.
Yeah, they have the privilege of the damage repairing itself. As you see, Jedi is on the move, making the most out of the soft. And we see Dokidano right behind CBD. Just his overtaking, he couldn't got this move done. I will be stuck behind CBD for Sector 2, which is the worst with dirty air. But I don't want to write Grey Jedi off just yet. He has moved up to P4 and is really making those softs, setting the fastest lap at 153.1. That's about 1.5 second fast though, setting a lap of 154.6.
Indeed, yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's gonna be pretty good points there for the American driver and for his team in general. KZN, I mean, they only have one driver here today. They normally would have two. Hop House unfortunately was just not around and unable to partake in today's race. Actually, speaking of points, let's talk about the constructor standings. So as far as I know, Kaizen Motorsport is the newest team in SWT, correct?
Yeah, that's along with Go Fast Castrol, they're the newest team.
So two new teams, starting off with season number 6 here, and Grand Prestige League for SWT, and so far they are in P2 in the constructor standings with 88 points, just behind Exa Rapide with 105. So I mean, they definitely came to play, and they have definitely impressed here so far in the first 2 races of the season. And it's looking pretty positive here for race 3 of the season. Take a look at their specific driver standings. Jedi is actually P2 in the driver standings, only 6 points behind B23. Now, at this rate, B23 would increase his lead, and I think CBD would jump him in those standings. But his teammate Hop House is P4, so Kaizen Motorsport, one of the newest teams in Grand Prestige League, is putting on a really good show. And a lot of people are wondering in the world of motorsports if Cadillac is going to do that for Formula 1.
Yeah, are they confirmed now for Formula 1?
Yes, they got confirmed yesterday.
Exciting news. We'll have 11 teams. That's for next season, I think I saw.
Yep.
For 2026. Correct?
Yes, that is correct. I'm just hoping for Colton Herta to be on that driver lineup because, I mean, Colton is he's a good driver in IndyCar, and he's had some tests in F1 machinery with McLaren, and he was actually supposed to be part of the AlphaTauri lineup for 2023, but FIA just doesn't like IndyCar, so super license points didn't go through. But, yeah, interesting.
They must have been planning for years. Jumping in next year will be extremely difficult. Is that the new regulations for next season as well?
Yes.
I mean, that's interesting. That's probably a good start.
Yeah, I mean, they announced their they announced their interest around I think the year after Audi announced that they were joining, so I think it's been a while coming. Although it was under the Andretti guys early on.
Okay. Sorry, the audio is a bit off. Yeah, we got Audi joining in. Oh, they're technically inside already, but they're rebranding the name next season. But they don't seem to have had the best start going into Formula One, as they probably experienced that Formula One is a bit more tricky than they expected. It seems. They probably underestimated the amount of work they had to put into to set up a good team. I mean, a competitive team for Formula One, and I wouldn't get my hopes up too much for Cadillac the first year or two, maybe. But it's a strong name in motorsports, as they are in WEC, doing good. So they probably do have some expertise they can throw into the Formula One team as well.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't do what they do in WC and have constant collisions with their teammate, or just the most appalling luck known to mankind, I think they'll be all right. I mean, I'm not expecting them to, you know, light up the world and, you know, be constructors champions right out the rip. I'm expecting them, optimistically, I'm expecting them to be around P6, P7 roughly, and that's like best case scenario. I think realistically they're probably going to be. That's pretty generous. I'm thinking probably more like P8 or P7 at like.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be last, but I do think that they're going to be. They're not going to be first by a long shot.
Oh no, definitely that will take years or maybe decades to get to that level. A shame if they couldn't bring the V8 though, going into Formula. That would have been cool to have a bit more noise.
They have the best sounding car in WC. I will die on that hill, and I'm not saying that just because I'm American.
What about the V12 for our AMR Valkyrie?
That's pretty good, but I mean, however, like, I mean, typically those engines are a bit higher pitched, and nothing wrong with that. I would say that the AMR sounds really good, but just like you hear that little electric wide and the rumble of a NASCAR V8, it's just, even though I don't really like watching NASCAR racing a lot, those cars do sound pretty good, I will say.
Yeah, it probably reminds you a bit more of that traditional American muscle cars.
Yeah.
A bit more of a growl instead of the high-pitched Formula One screaming noise.
I mean, then again, I mean, I will say both of them do kind of pale in comparison to the righteous V10s. I mean, just put a Lexus LFA V10 in every F1 car, then it's goated.
It's better sounding than the F1 car.
Oh yeah, I mean, the LFA V10 is just righteous.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite car. One of the favorite cars. Mostly due to the sound, but to the aesthetics as well. Yeah, it's difficult to pick.
For years. And I know this isn't like the greatest car known to mankind, and I know I've read that it does have its reliability problems, but when I was younger, around 12, 13, 14, ever since Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, one of my dream cars was an Alfa Romeo 4C. I just thought they looked really cool, and I wanted one for several years. I still would take one to this day, but I know, good luck with that.
I'm trying to find my favorite car. I always forget what it's called. It's a Jaguar. It's not XJ 220. It's the old Le Mans car.
Oh, the XJR19.
XJ13.
Ah, I mean, it's still a really good car.
XJ13.
So,
it's like a really old car.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Le Mans legend. Speaking of racing stuff, back to the action on hand, I think the soft tires may have not been the play. I think the medium to medium might have been the ideal strat, because right now, I mean, looking at Ducadono, his tires are halfway cooked. And actually, a lot of these soft runners are already running pretty hard on the tires. That wind is picking up, though. Your boy Grant and Rivlin went ahead and made their pit stops. I think your boy Grant did it a lap earlier. They're both on the racing mediums, like, once again. I think Rivelin actually went on softs earlier. But yeah, I mean, the mediums might be able to go to the end here. So maybe the zero stop could work. I originally predicted it on the hards, but the let's face it, the hard tires are they're busted in the Formula 1 games, but they are not super great in Gran Turismo. As we saw in chat from Whiteout, he was saying that on this track, usually a second and a half slower for the hard tire compound. So that's yeah, not ideal. I mean, you'll be better off in like long-term race pace, but it's all about margins when it comes to racing. That's what dictates strategy so much. Because I mean, you could go for like, because the soft tire is the fastest tire in the game. It's got the most grip, but it's got the worst tire life. So I mean, if you went just for pure speed, you could do soft on soft on soft, but all the time you spend in the pits adds up, and ultimately you lose out to like a more balanced strategy of like a soft to medium, or a medium to soft, or even a medium medium.
Yeah, the soft definitely got nerfed going before this season. Before they definitely got nerfed. Like last season or every season before that, they always been overpowered in GT Sport and GT7, and the hards has always been completely useless. But now, right now, the mediums are the preferred compounds to stay on, as the softs are, of course, really quick, but they're not durable at all. And the soft runners are really struggling right now. So probably the mediums to mediums is the best choice, unless front and can build a bit of a gap during the first couple laps. You need to have free air if you're going to use the softs, as they will just be demolished in their air by any drivers ahead of you.
Yeah, I mean, as we're on board with Kemmerer now, the driver from Hololive Racing, currently sitting in P5. Yeah, his tires they're cooked. Gordon Ramsay would not call these tires raw. He would call them overcooked, because
oh yeah,
these tires are so cooked and so burnt at this stage of the race, where you could probably throw it at like a tank and penetrate it. So yeah, these tires are done. They're on life support. They're begging for the sweet release of a pit stop, and so I think we'll definitely see them coming soon. But I think these medium runners could really go to the end.
You mean the top two, or do you mean the?
I think a lot of these drivers that are currently on the mediums. Yeah, these soft runners, as we see Kill Switch come on into the pits. P23 and CBD probably could make it to the end. Maybe P4 might be able to do an undercut, possibly, but that's a hard maybe.
Yeah, see, the tire is fairly similar between Latora, CBD, and Brando. But it might be possible to do a zero stop, but they will be extremely slow in the end.
Yeah, fuel's another thing they got to consider.
Yes, so you do have to maintain or like manage the tires throughout the stint. You cannot go flat out. You need to lift and coast and just take it a bit easy. And speaking of the hards that we talked about earlier, they're not just slow, they're so difficult to drive as well. They will understeer and oversteer, have no grip, and just be a pain to drive on. As they're durable, yes, but they have no pace whatsoever. It's not like you can be like really consistent in setting decent laps. It's you're just too slow and they're too difficult to handle, and that's why you never see anyone use them.
Yeah, indeed. CBD getting pretty close to his teammate there, going through the bus stop chicane. These two have really pulled away from the pack. I mean, there's a reason why they're at the top of the Constructors Championship. I mean, they've just had a really solid drive, as we see Jedi now into the pits.
Yep, We see Dakidono, he has made up some positions. He was dropped down to P8 or P7, I think, for after the pit stop. So that tells you how long the pit lane is. About 24-25 seconds, it seems, with a tire swap as well. So that's a lot of time. So a zero stop might be actually a possibility.
We're even seeing in chat that there's a prediction that the front runners might not be able to actually make this this zero stop work. They'd have to I love this analogy. They'd be looking like a CCP flag by lap 20. That's a risky one. I mean, granted, I know I made a risky joke about that a few streams ago. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want YouTube to take this race down, especially this battle here between B23 and CBD is looking pretty entertaining here at the moment. This field has spread out quite a bit though, so I mean, we know EXO, I mean, they've been super strong throughout the entirety of Season 6 in both divisions, WC and SWT, and so we know it's been really, really solid here for this organization.
Yeah, they will be strong for each race, and you'll see some teams competing with them in some races, but it will be difficult to beat them over a season. As Jedi has actually opted for softs again, that's surprising. So curious if he can make them last. They can make him last, but how slow will them be in the end? And can he needs to be P3, P4 to, you know, not drop too many points to CVD and Brando in the championship. And possibly using the softs, he's just aiming for that position and possibly setting in the fastest lap as well.
Indeed, yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how this race kind of plays out. But yeah, let's see if Kemazure does the same thing. I think Kemazure has also did a soft to soft strat. He has, so that's really interesting there from the American driver. The soft to soft, man, it's a really peculiar pick, honestly, because I mean, we saw how fast the softs burned out. I mean, I don't think they're really going to be able to get these tires to the end. I mean, the ideal strat for them would have been soft to medium, but the soft to soft was just not a strategy I was thinking would be viable in this race. I mean, obviously we have about 11 laps to see if that is true or not, but he's already caught the Schulte though, who is on 12 lap old mediums. He's going to send it around the inside. KZN on the fresher tire and the quicker tire. He has moved up a position. Excellent stuff there for Jedi, for Kaizen Motorsport. It's a good move for him. It's a move he needed to make, but so far, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch back up.
Yeah, that was crucial for him to get past, and we'll see if he can get past Dakidono before those softs completely vanish. But I do have a sneaky feeling that Otora is doing a zero stop. He has a slightly better wear, and he's taking it really slow on the corner, using high gears. So I have a feeling he might be able to do a zero stop, but not sure if he'll be able to compete with the top twos. As his DVD is now in front. He's in front of Brando. So we missed that.
Yeah, we'll see if there's going to be a retake here from B23. He looks like he's just got more speed. Yeah. The two cars are side by side coming up to this upcoming chicane. Oh, this is going to be dicey, but B23 does have that inside line. He's going to retake the lead of this race, and they're just going to continue to pull away from Artura. But Artura could still possibly be in this race if B23 and CBD make a pit stop at any point in this race, or if they have an incident. They've gotten pretty close to each other throughout the duration of this race, but, I mean, we're a little over halfway through, so we still got another about 45% of this race left to go. So, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, we've seen some crazy comeback drives in this season and other races from GPL. But, I mean, just thinking about the zero stop, the last time I saw a zero stop actually work in GPL was Boita back in GT500. where I think it was either him or Alex. One of those two made a zero stop work into a podium.
That was Boita. He actually won at. No, he did a one stop. Possibly zero stop. He opted for a better strategy than whiteout, but I did a zero stop at Mount Panorama. I think that was, and I think possibly Boita did a zero stop at Watkins Glen.
Oh, and here we go. The front runners that made their pit stop.
Yep.
Sorry to cut you off there. You can continue.
No
I just want to point that out.
Let's see if Toro falls in. He does. Oh, he cut the line there, so I think that's a penalty for Toro, unfortunately. That 3 seconds penalty. Curious to see if Takidano is in front.
This is the longest pit lane in the entirety of the game, so I mean, it's tricky.
Soft.
Yeah, so they've opted to do the medium to soft strategy. Interesting stuff there for the EXO squad. And oh, I think he's getting. No, he didn't get fuel too. All right, so Arturo's opted for the soft as well. We'll see if he's got a penalty coming out. He does not. He actually got away with it. That 3-second penalty is so deadly. I mean, there's some tracks where the penalty is ridiculous. The two tracks that come to mind when it comes to that pit lane penalty is Road Atlanta and Watkins Glen. They both can be really nasty when it comes to those 3-second penalties. Luckily for Arturo, he managed to get away with it. No penalty, so he's really got to be counting his lucky stars now. As we see,
yeah, it's possibly the. It depends on which line they count as breach, because he was definitely cutting the inside. I was always thinking it's the inside line you have to worry about, but the inside line there, that was a bit strange. But he got away with it. Because that 3-second penalty is a pain to get or receive.
Yeah, I mean, it just really, I mean, even a half-second one is enough to kind of deter progress in a race, but I mean, you do it for the 3 seconds, which is 6 times that same penalty, and it's just, your race might as well just be over at that point, unless everybody else in front of you has the same kind of catastrophic screw-up. Actually, taking a look at our race count, I'll see if there's any other tracks that are kind of notorious for having really wacky pit lanes. Interlagos has a tricky one, I know that. Tokyo Express lane's probably got the least dangerous pit lane ever. It's very straightforward. If you get a cut there, then you did something horribly wrong, because it's literally a straight shot. So, interesting. So, actually, I see a very interesting question in chat. Odds of P1 and P2 taking each other out from flaring aces. Huh. I mean, that could happen. I mean, these drivers have gotten really close to each other. I mean, you would think, hopefully, as teammates, they would kind of have that common understanding of, please don't crash into me. And, obviously, they got a 1-2, and they know they got a decent gap to Ducadona even after the pit stop. They're on fresher and quicker tires. So, I mean, it's still possible. It just depends on how aggressive CBD is going to get, or if the change for a lead does happen, how aggressive B23 can get.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see. This is what we kind of saw at the Monza race as well. They're sticking together in 1-2, and it seems like, I think CBD can make a move he wants, but they're sticking with each other here, so possibly they will deal with the positions later on. Or just thinking about the championship and trying to give Brando the best of these in P1 in the championship, and I'm a bit unsure if CBD is able to race all the races this season, so this might be why they're letting Brando be in P1.
Yeah, I mean, they really don't have any real reason to kind of risk it right now, because B23 leads the championship here, his teammates in P3, and collectively, EXO does lead the Constructors' Championship. And I mean, and if you're thinking about the team battle, even if B23 finishes ahead of CBD or vice versa, it's going to be the same amount of points for the team as a whole. The driver standings are really going to play a part of it, but Jedi is in P4, so even if P23 finishes in P2 as CBD makes the move, and oh wow, that lap time though, he is currently about 1.2 seconds faster in Sector 1 compared to KZN, so maybe they're letting him go for that fastest lap attempt, which would take that potential point away from Jedi. So, I mean, CBD now, he's in the lead of this race, and I think that's probably what we're going to end up seeing from these drivers as the race comes to its conclusion. It's just these drivers kind of switching back and forth a bit. I mean, they got a gap to Jedi. Jedi actually is in a really good spot to get a podium here.
Yeah, he just passed Dokidono on Camel Straight, having a lot of pace, which was unfortunately stuck behind Dokidono. But he is on the soft, so it might be able for Dokidono to come back in the end there, because I think those softs will really struggle the last couple of laps. You see, it just depends if the engine has too much raw pace for Dokidono to handle, even with tire wear. As we see, CBD is now almost 3 seconds in front of Brando, trying to set the fastest lap, I think.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, burning all that overtake. Oh, that's fast lap by 3 whole seconds. That's almost a quality lap there for the Mexican driver. Excellent stuff there from CBD. But another thing I want to point out in between this battle for the final spot on the podium between Jedi and Dokidono, Jedi is out of overtake, so he has no more overtake remaining. And I mean, we got 5 laps left, so, and Dokidono still has about a quarter of his overtake meter left to go. If there's some of you that are new here, overtake is essentially like a NOS button for these cars. It adds extra horsepower to the car. You cannot refill it at any stage during a race, in qualifying or practice, or actually just qualifying because you can't use it in practice. You can kind of reset back to the pits and they'll automatically refuel it, but you can't really do that in the races. You have a certain amount of overtake, and you really can use it like a NOS button, honestly, just minus the actual nitrous effect. It would actually be the same button as your nitrous if you, say you have a really built up S15 or S14 or whatever your car choice is, and you slapped a nitrous tank in it. It's the same button. Can depend, the button itself can vary depending on what you actually use for your overtake button. I know some people use it on X. I use it on R1 personally on a controller, and obviously a lot of these drivers are going to be on wheel, so they may have a different button bind for that. But long story short, having overtake is certainly an advantage compared to somebody who doesn't.
Oh yeah, it does say. I mean, without the overtake, it's almost impossible to overtake a car. So you need that extra boost or like that speed to get ahead. And with the amount of dirty air, if you want to pass, let's say a similar pace car, you probably need to drain like quarter a tank or something to even have a chance to. It depends on the track, but you need to use it a lot and just save it for either trying to push away early on in the stints and or like build a gap, or you need to like save and use it for an actual overtake.
Indeed, and speaking of overtakes, B23 does take the lead from his teammate CBD, and they swap positions once again, this time for the lead. After that fastest lap, CBD backed off the pace pretty heavily. I mean, now they pulled a 7-second gap to Jedi. Comparing lap times, though, Dokidono and Jedi's lap times are really close. Only 9 thousandths of a second separate the two for P3 here, so this is going to be really interesting here as we're down to 4 laps remaining here at Spa.
Yeah, I think that will swing back to Dokidono, the advantage for him, as he has the better compounds for this lap and upwards for the race. So I think Dokidono will have a slight chance to get that P3 back, but it depends if he has enough pace to compete with Jedi.
Indeed, and also, I mean, Jedi is going to have to really defend for his life
Yes, that overtake Dogidona has now, he needs to save that for an overtake, not using it to get close, because that will do nothing when you're close to Jedi. You'll just get more dirty air, so you need to use that overtake to like push through the dirty air and get past. You see Jedi
Indeed.
struggling a bit more for grip now.
Yeah, because I mean, especially on some of these trickier chicanes, like the bus stop chicane, and then the chicane right after the Camelot Straight, or the Camel Straight, sorry. There's a lot of these corners, those two in particular, that really are heavily reliant on tire grip. So you're really going to be on the struggle bus going through some of these corners. Like some of these faster corners, like A Rouge, you'll be okie dokie on for the most part. But yeah, a lot of these trickier corners, Ducadono definitely has got that grip advantage. And also, I mean, he's doing pretty much exactly what you said to do. Don't burn that overtake now, especially with how little you have left, because the guy in front of you has none. So I'm not sure that's being communicated to him by his Red Bull Adidas race engineer, if he has one. I don't know if they do or not, but if they do, I'm sure he's probably relaying some of that information back. We'll see how the closing stages of this race go. And actually, I mean, it was kind of a recovery drive story that we kind of saw between yourself and Nuko in the closing stages of the WC race last week. And this wind is really picking up, so that extra tire grip is going to be nasty. Or the lack thereof, I should say.
Yeah, I can see Ducadono can follow really closely now. Make some of time before Ducadono gets past. As Jedi would just run out of rubber. He just won't have any grip going into some of the corners. And Ducadono can follow easily, and if you can follow on this track, you can get past because of the long straights. So
Indeed.
My bet is on Ducadono right now.
Indeed, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty safe bet. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, this move is going to come sooner rather than later. We're about to come down to the final 3 laps of this race here. Oh, a massive snap there. I mean, this wind is brutal right now. It is 17.5 feet per second, or roughly about 12 miles an hour. A little bit less than 12 miles an hour, but right around that ballpark. At its peak earlier, about 2 laps ago, it was at 17.6, which is exactly 12 miles an hour. So this wind is picking up quite a bit. It's already a whole feet per second faster than it was in qualifying. So the wind has only really picked up here in Belgium, and I mean, it's not going to affect Jedi too much on the straights of this track, but when it gets to the chicanes, especially the bus stop, it's going to be nightmare fuel trying to not spin that car around because of just that aggressive tailwind that he's got to deal with.
Yeah. I see Ducadono is really good Jedi. He can follow quite easily. Just question, can he get past? Does he has more stealth and speed than Jedi, or is Jedi just too fast for him to get past? Or will those south just completely melt for like the final lap or something? It will be interesting to see, but it's definitely a really close battle between the two drivers.
Indeed, I mean, this is probably going to be to battle to watch. We'll go ahead and take a look at some of the other drivers here. We were down to 10. We unfortunately lost Gothboy, who was making his first race of the current season to SWT. In the closing stages of this race, I do want to remind you guys to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications. We race pretty much every single week. 1 week we will do WEC, and then the following week we will do SWT, which is what you're currently watching. And actually next week we're heading to Switzerland for the D-Force Raceway, and it is a sprint.
Oh yeah, that's going to be exciting. First it's a qualifying, then we're going to reverse the grid for the sprint race, and then main race it's going to be the original positions from qualifying. So it will be 2 races, and therefore 2 times where points will be given out. So it's a huge race for the championship, and D-Forest is one of the best tracks for racing. So I think that's going to be a spectacle race. And I just want to point out, it's possible that Aurora can gain on Dakidona and Grey Jedi, because Jedi is just so slow, slowing down Dakidona, and we see Aurora is almost 3 seconds faster on that last lap, 2.3 seconds, I mean. So I wouldn't count Aurora out just yet, as he has much better tire wear on those sauce, and if Jedi just keeps having Dakidano behind him, we might have a three-way battle for the last lap.
Which will be really, really spicy here. I mean, we know the last lap battle last week between yourself and Nuka was really, really entertaining to watch before the unfortunate game crash, like halfway through that second to last lap that happened on my end, which interrupted the stream momentarily. But I mean, we know last lap battles here are very intense and very spicy. And actually it looked like Dakidano's not going to wait. He's going to go for the move. Can he do it? He's going to have the inside line, but no. Jedi just blocks him in, but maybe on this reset, we'll have to see. No, he doesn't get the move done. He's got one more chance to make this move. He's got the final move on Erouge and the Camel Straight. That is basically all he's got to make the move. Jedi goes wide. Dakidano has a better corner. We'll go on board now with the Dutch driver. We'll see if he can make a move happen. He's got the run. He's got the speed. He's catching up. They go through Rouge, who's got the better exit. And it looks like Dakidano had a much better exit. He's got the speed. He's got the pace. He's got the slipstream. He's got the overtake. He's a little bit on the grass. He's going to make it. He's going to make it stick. Dakidano moves into P3 at the end of the Camel Straight. A move he's been wanting to make for so many laps. And Jedi is hating it right now. But the lack of overtake and the lack of tire life really played into Dakidano's favor right there. And now Dakidano is really going to pull away to secure a podium here for Red Bull Adidas.
And I think Aurora has a chance actually to catch up to Jedi. I think it's possible. Jedi's tires are completely dead. See how much time Aurora will gain now. He's like 1.2 seconds. He was 2.2 seconds just about 10 seconds ago. Now he's under 1 second, so he's really getting close to Jedi, and Jedi will be so slow here. But they're both running out of overtake. And we see Dakidano is like 3.5 seconds ahead now.
Yep, and
Archer sending it outside there.
He's gonna send it.
Go ahead.
Not quite. I'll let you take it. Oh. Well,
spicy.
Yeah. You ain't kidding. I'll let you go ahead and take this. But so far, back to the front. B23 wins the Belgian Grand Prix. His teammate right behind him. Dakidano's gonna come home in P3. But we're gonna go back to this battle. Looks like Arturo might try to make a last ditch effort. He just had so much more pace and so much more grip. And I think actually Jedi spun a bit there. So on the last lap, Arturo's going to come home in P4, Jedi P5. Chemistry rounding the last corner now. He'll come home in P6. Followed by Killswitch, Rivelin, Schulte, and your boy Grand rounding out our grid. And what a thrilling final lap in a battle for P3 and P4.
It's Jedi driving on the rims, that's correct. You see that those tires are completely done. He lost seconds from his previous lap on lap 21, which again was not a specifically fast lap. Let's compare to lap 16, he did a 1:53, and on the last lap he did a 2.03, so lost about 10 seconds on that lap itself. That says all about the tire wear eating up the pace of the car.
Indeed, and right there, another race win for B23 here. I mean, it's another 1-2 for the EXO AM or EXO Rapide squad. What a drive there from the duo. I mean, they pretty much led this race from start to finish. Let's go ahead and run through our drivers here. We had B23 and CBD rounding out the front two positions, with CBD getting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:49.6. And then followed by Dakidano and Arturo, the two Dutch drivers, taking over the positions from Jedi, who finished in P5. Just struggling with the tire wear there at the very end of the race. Followed by Kimmajur, Killswitch, Rivelin, Schulte, your boy Grant, and then Gothboy, who unfortunately had a DNF here at his home race. But what a drive!
What a race!
In general, yeah.
It seems like this happened last week as well, and it happened last season and the season before that. It's always like a final lap battle between cars on like different tire wears or different strategy compounds, whatever. Always seem to like be very separate during the race, and in the end, everything just comes together like a perfect. Different stories all merging into the final lap there. So really interesting race for the SWT guys.
Yeah, I mean, SWT never fails to deliver. I mean, they delivered in Monza, they delivered in Croatia at Dragon Trail, and they delivered here in Monza. And I have zero doubts that they're going to deliver in Switzerland next time out. But, yeah, you want to go ahead and get an interview going with our race winner?
Yep, he says it's ready, so we can get him into the party.
Alright, you can go ahead and invite him, and then we'll have a quick chat with the race winner, and then that'll be all from us. So overall, that was a very intense race here around Belgium, especially in the closing stages. As it was for WEC, like you heard from my co-commentator, next time out we are heading to Deep Forest Raceway in Switzerland. It's going to be a really fun track. We had a blast there when we raced there for the last chance qualifiers to kind of sort out the last few positions for WEC and SWT. But right now, we have race winner B23 in the commentary box. And what a drive from you today, man. You had an excellent race from start to finish. So did you have any like potential strategy options, or did you always know that the medium to soft was the go-to? Yes.
Yeah.
Did you ever Yeah, I mean, it was a good battle there from you and your teammate. Quite a few position swaps. Did you have any moment where you thought you were going to collide with your teammate? Because there's some really risky overtakes there on some parts of the track. Real quick, you are not being heard in the stream.
It's possible the echoing is pretty bad.
Yeah, the echoing is my fault as well.
It's possible to mic
I should be heard now.
mute
I
mic.
changed the set.
There we go, we heard it.
Okay, but yeah, sorry. Anyway, as I was saying though, yeah, we did race each other a little bit there. We allowed each other to do so, and we did make a little contact at one point, but it's didn't hurt us too bad. We were coordinating really well though. We knew exactly where we were going to be, so we didn't cause any bad collision or anything like that. We did switch on per a couple of times, and I let him ahead to go take the fastest lap, gave him a tow. Stuff like that.
Yeah, so it increases the amount of dominance you guys currently have in SWT at the moment. Without any further ado, I'll pass you over to Lucian if he's got any questions for you.
Yeah, just real quick. Is it possible for you to mute the mic?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, the echoing is just kind of awful. Is the plan for Exo Rapid to prioritize any drivers thinking about the championship and just possibly making sure the both championships are secured in a way that you will get any prioritizing for the race. Any comments to that, or?
Yeah. So basically, the team championship always comes first with EXO, and so we're going to make sure that we are in a position in the race where we are either 1-2 or directly next to each other in position before we swap to make me go ahead. But if we are in a position there's in between us, then we probably will try to coordinate getting me ahead, just so that we can try to secure both championships. But championship always comes first with us.
I see. Yeah, I think that's it for me as well.
All right,
So
I'll
thank you
go
for joining,
ahead.
Brando.
I'll ask you one last question before you go. How confident are you feeling about Deep Forest Raceway next week, or about 2 weeks from now? 2 weeks.
Honestly, I'm super excited for Deep Forest because last season that was probably the best race as far as just every single lap, everyone was battling everyone, and I loved battling like that. So, and there's I think a sprint race for that round too. So, I absolutely can't wait to be starting hopefully from the back and make a bunch of moves on people and just have a great time. It's a great battling track for me, so I'm really excited for it.
It was a really good spectacle for the preseason, the last chance qualifier. And yeah, I think we'll have a really good race here. Well, it'll be next week for WEC and then the following week for SWT. So, yeah, best of luck to you and everybody else. And we'll see you next time.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Well, do you have any closing comments, Lucian, before we wrap up stream today?
I'm just looking forward to the next week. I think that's one of the best races to watch for in Grand Prestige League. Deep Forest is always a banger. It's always a good race, and it's really fun to drive. And we're going to have a sprint race and a main race, so it's going to be plenty of action. So I hope many people can join on next week as well.
Indeed.
That's it for me.
Make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Like Lucian said, we have certified bangers for the next 2 weeks, as we typically do here in the Grand Prestige League, so you don't want to miss any of it. Once again, my name is Rekus, and I will see you guys next time for round 4 in Switzerland. Take care, everybody. Make sure you're staying hydrated, and we'll see you next time. Take care.